Today's episode of Royally Obsessed is brought to you by the California Avocado Commission. California avocados are in season from right now through the end of summer. They're grown locally by California farmers who nurture the avocados and land every step of the way with uncompromising dedication to quality and freshness.
There's nothing quite like a perfectly ripe avocado. It's delicious. And California avocados are locally and responsibly grown and picked at the peak of their season, resulting in fruit that is fresh and consistent in taste and texture.
And did you know that the Hass avocado, the most common variety that you know and love, is a California native and was first cultivated in Southern California? Be sure to look for California on the label to ensure you are getting avocados grown close to home. From family meals to grabbing a snack on the go, incorporate California avocados into your dishes for dynamic flavors and texture.
I love avocados. I'm actually eating it in my lunch salad right now. That's right next to me. Here, I'm holding it up.
Oh my gosh.
Delicious.
Hear ye, hear ye. Please rise for their majesties of Royally Obsessed, the podcast for all things royals.
Stand by! 3 cheers for Her Majesty, the Queen!
Do you hear that, Rachel?
I do.
It's
Ding
the sound
dong.
of wedding bells. This is a very special episode this week. We are bringing you a flashback to Princess Diana and Prince Charles's royal wedding. It's the 40th anniversary this year.
40
I cannot
years.
believe it.
Oh my
I know.
gosh.
Before we get into it, all of our royal reminders, get it out of the way. So welcome back to Royally Obsessed. I'm Roberta.
I'm Rachel.
And it is time for this very special episode. We're diving deep into the royal wedding. We have so many fun things to talk about this week. A couple of royal reminders. Follow us on Instagram at Royally Obsessed Podcast. Send us an email at info@gallerypodcasts, that's an S on the end, .com. We've gotten some DMs about the email address. So I hope that we get some new listener emails after that. And Rachel, how are you doing this week?
I'm good. I just want to take a beat to talk about the delightful Prince George birthday pics that we got. We expected them when we talked about it last week, but I feel like I mean, what was your reaction?
Did they exceed expectations for you?
For me, they did, because I just love, I want in my spare time to do like a side by side of George at every age. I know it's probably Googleable, but I feel like I just want to do it for myself because I can't get over the evolution of, he looks exactly like William and Kate, like a perfect mashup. Don't you think?
He does. And I do love the special call out. All the press is talking about this, the special call out to Prince Philip with the Land Rover. So sweet. He's adorable, but he's also getting so big. I just feel like
so
it's like we
big.
talked about this last week, but he just is like a little man. And 8 is when I think they start boarding school. And so he really is just like, I don't know, he's growing up so fast.
But what a contrast to the suit and tie pics that we saw. Did you think
Yes.
that? Because it's like, here he is in like I think it was a Lewis shirt for under €10. And I feel like he just, or not €10, 10 pounds. And I feel like he was honestly just like a little kid at the beach. And he looked very like sun-kissed hair and just genuine big smile. So I was really happy. Way to go, Kate.
I love that you mentioned the hair too, because I think like, sorry, William, but like he looks like he has Kate's full head of hair, which thank God, it's not the same color as Kate's, obviously.
But that wouldn't
like,
show. Would that show at that age?
Well, I'm just hoping, or the
I don't
Diana
know.
gene of great hair. Like, hopefully, because it looks so full. And like, I think actually, remember you sent that picture to me last week of William as a 9-year-old?
I did.
Like, I do think that his hair does look less full than George's.
Yeah,
So,
different textures. I
fingers
think you
crossed
get your hair.
for his future
Isn't it
hairline.
like biologically you get your hair genes through your mom? I don't know. I might have made that up. It's not confirmed. Unconfirmed science right now.
I feel like I have my dad's hair, but okay.
But
There
yeah, a
we
lot
go.
of that was the, talk about birthdays. And next week we have Meghan's 40th birthday. A big, 40 anniversary
Big
of the wedding.
milestone.
40th
Yeah.
birthday for Meghan. Very exciting. So lots to look forward to. But on this episode, very special. I want the wedding bells to ring again. All about Princess Diana and Prince Charles' wedding, flashing back. We are also talking about a brand new documentary from ITV and BBC Studios that it comes out the day this episode drops. We got a sneak peek, woohoo, and it's great. So we're gonna discuss some of that, and just in general the impact of Diana and Charles's wedding on today's royals, because I feel like that we've seen sort of the ricochet effect, of course, with the evolution of Charles and Diana's marriage and relationship and all of that. So much more, very exciting. But what are we sipping, Roberta?
And now it's time for the weekly royal cocktail.
Cheers!
Cheers!
To our special episode.
I still have
our
to
wedding
unpack
episode.
my champagne glasses. They're
Oh
somewhere
my
in
gosh,
a box.
but you do have a Diana mug, so it's totally fine.
My same mug as last week. I'm just sticking with that. It's on theme.
So we're cheersing with bubbly this week for the royal wedding. And as we know from our chat with Noah Rothbaum, drinks expert, who came on the pod earlier this month, Prince Charles actually gave out one of 8 royal warrants that the British royal family has for champagne to Laurent Perrier. And so that's his personal pick of champagne. That's the one. So his mum, the queen, has given out 7 others, but he had to have Laurent Perrier. So that's really interesting. I love that fun fact.
I love that
from
he
Noah.
gets to give out his own too.
I know. And that he was so specific. He's like, I can't do these 7 other champagnes that are probably like world renowned, whatever. But actually, what's interesting, I was looking into this. So Bollinger was actually the champagne that was served at their wedding and at his younger brother, Prince Edward's royal wedding. So Bollinger, if you have that on
So
deck.
why
you
the
should pop
switch?
that
Yeah, why
on.
that's so
Yeah.
fun. Yeah. I still
I
like that
know.
Noah told us how the little detail of just like topping it off, because I feel like I sometimes steer clear of champagne or sparkling wine because I don't want to go all in on a full glass. It could give me a headache, but I like that it's really just adding a little bit at the top to make it feel more festive. So that's what I did
Adding
today.
a little bit of to the top
of bubbly, of like, you know, a wine or
anything.
anything.
Oh, I love
yeah.
that. I
yeah.
love that.
So,
I know. And you know what comes in handy too if you don't want to open a whole bottle, because it's like, you know, obviously
Yeah.
a big commitment, is just those little like La Marca, those
Yes.
tiny little bottles that you can have
Totally.
in the fridge. That's just like,
just keep those chilled.
yeah.
I'm a
But
big
yeah.
fan.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
cheers.
Cheers.
To our royal wedding episode.
Cheers.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink. All right. Well, I did want to squeeze in a royal find of the week that is on theme with this conversation. But, you know, obviously we can't talk about the royal wedding of 1981 without lamenting the fact that we cannot go to the UK right now. For us US-based listeners, you know, we can't get over to see this royal style in the making exhibit where the dress is fully on display. But some sleuthing, you can browse the gift shop. And I was looking to
I'm clicking
see-
this link right now.
So
I'm
this
trying to
is
see the-
I started with my favorite maybe, but you can buy a Spencer tiara ring.
Whoa.
Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing. Also, this coffee table book looks,
Looks
is it a book or it's it's a magazine, but it's beautiful. It has
Yeah.
like a close up of the sleeve of Diana's dress. Oh my gosh.
well, I just felt like I love the sort of subtlety of the tiara
click
ring.
this
Like you'd
ring.
have to be real insidery row to know that that's the Spencer tiara, and it's just, but it looks really cool. And then there's
that is cool.
there's the
That-
tea
it's
towel.
really expensive.
yeah. What is it again?
It's 50 pounds.
Oh, well, just you wait. There's,
Oh, no.
So there's also a tea towel, which I thought was lovely, that has like the illustration by Elizabeth Emanuel of the original dress. There's the Sunken Garden
that's
collection,
beautiful.
which is a really
Yeah.
nice nod. But this one, the faux sapphire choker, which, as we know, was what Diana wore with the revenge dress, that's 150 pounds.
Oh my gosh, but it's really
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Like that could be really good for a Halloween costume. If
Yeah.
someone had a black
150
dress and
pounds,
that.
though. Yeah, you got to shell out.
But it's an investment, right? It's because it's a Swarovski crystal. in the
Yeah,
middle.
I mean, it's
Not
worth
a
it. You can wear it with a
sapphire,
variety
obviously.
of things. Anyways, check out the gift shop because it's
You
just
like
some
chokers?
Diana merch that you might be kind of interested to just have like a little nod to her in your daily life. So I had to
It
share.
also feels like we kind of virtually have a taste of the exhibit when we
I
can't
know,
get over there. So
I
that's
know.
nice.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Like, can they extend it?
Hopefully. We'll get into that because we did get actually a little virtual
Yeah, we're going to talk about
virtual teaser.
that. So this week in royal history,
And now, this week in royal history.
the wedding of Prince Charles and Princess Diana on July 29th, 1981, 40 years ago. I was not yet born at that time. I was on the cusp.
Now you just reminded me that Meghan Markle was born 5 days later.
Weird.
Weird, right? Because it is her 40th this year.
That's wild to me. Yeah, it is. That's really kind of a cool little.
It is kind of cool.
If you
she's
had
very-
like divergent, you know what I mean, when things kind of like when it intersects, but you were
Yeah.
living your own life. Who knew how history would unfold? But yeah, they were married at St. Paul's Cathedral. Prince Charles was 32 years old, and Princess Diana was barely 20. Just I feel like You know, she had literally just turned 20 when they got married. And St. Paul's Cathedral, as we know, a lot of people get this wrong, actually. Not to call them out, but People Magazine got this wrong in their latest cover story on Diana. They said that they got married at Westminster Abbey. And I was like, no, it's St. Paul's Cathedral. And it was in front of 2,650 guests. So huge, splashy occasion. I mean, I feel like it can see quite a bit more at St. Paul's Cathedral. Also unique about St. Paul's is that you can see from end to end, which because this was, TV was a huge consideration with this wedding.
Right.
The cameras really had a clear view. So that was a big deal. Also, you can't see the couple up close when you're at Westminster Abbey. There's a little bit of a break, as we've seen at Kate and William's wedding.
Yes.
And, Charles liked that you could also have a very massive choir. That music was a big part of it.
That's so classic him, I feel like. He was very particular about the music, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I just think that that's like so invested in humanity, so invested in the arts. He really wanted to have this huge choir there. So
And some original
really
pieces,
stunning.
too. Yeah. And so we want to play a clip of Diana saying her vows.
I, Diana Francis,
I, Diana Francis,
take thee, Charles Philip Arthur George,
take thee, Philip Charles Arthur George,
to my wedded husband,
to my wedded husband,
to have and to hold, from this day forward,
this day forward,
for better, for worse,
for better, for worse,
for richer, for poorer,
for richer, for poorer,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
till death us do part.
till death us do part.
I feel like she's so nervous. She's trying to go through really quickly, which is why she probably messed up his name. What did she do? She said it in the wrong order.
Yeah, Philip
inverted.
Charles instead of Charles Philip. Exactly. And Charles also left out worldly from thy worldly good. So I feel like it was, there were nerves, of course. I mean, I can't imagine the pressure. She wore this incredible taffeta wedding gown by David and Elizabeth Emanuel, as we just talked about. And, we got a glimpse of that and also got to hear from Matthew's story on that front when he joined us on the podcast, just all the details about that. The Laura Ashley 1980s vibe. It was just over the top, very princessy.
Yeah. So fun to hear from him, too, because he's such an expert on it and has so many little insights and details into Diana's fashion. But what's really, really cool, I think, about this exhibit, and one of the things that makes me want to go so bad, even though we've already had a virtual preview of it, we were lucky enough to get a press invite to it. But one of the things that's so cool is like they've redone the orangery at Kensington Palace. And so they actually can display her train at the full 25 feet that it takes up, which is incredible. It's just like jaw-dropping because I don't think you realize, even from the TV footage of the royal wedding, it's kind of pulled back. And so it does look so stunning and it takes up so much space and the bridesmaid girls are so far behind her. But just to see it that up close and how truly magnificent of a dress it was, would just be, I don't know, awe-inspiring. I don't know. I feel like I would need I have chills.
I need time alone. I just need to I mean, I did look back at the fact that I did see it at Foxwoods Casino. When I moved, I found the program from that.
Right.
And I think what's so funny is I actually went back and read articles about that exhibit and how it was just like a very looked down upon situation that it was put at Foxwoods, because it was just like the fact that it was at a casino, it really cheapened it. It was like if it was on display in the United States and traveling, it should be at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Was what a lot of royal experts were saying it back then. It just didn't feel right, and there were nods that the family felt uncomfortable, and it came from the Althorpe estate. So anyways, I was just reading more about it because it's so perplexing to me that I did see it.
So interesting.
But I don't think I had the appreciation back then because I was pretty young. So I was just like, I was looking at the exhibit and obviously a fan of Diana, but I don't think I would have appreciated it in the way I would have now.
Well, and one of the big things, it's like, oh, like she's come home. Like, it's just that the dress is now at her former residence at Kensington Palace, which it hasn't been ever.
So
I think that was one of the big marketing things. So I do think that it's such a contrast from, touring around the United States in random places. Like, it really is at her home. It's where it was stored. It's where it belongs. So I just think, I don't know, that's pretty incredible. Being an East Coaster, it's hard to admit this, but can we just take a moment to talk about how beautiful California is? I mean, the beaches, the weather, the overall vibe. It's also inviting.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more. And that's why we're so excited to tell you about our new sponsor, the California Avocado Commission. Did you know that the Hass avocado everyone knows and loves originated in Southern California?
I do now. They are grown locally by California farmers who nurture the avocados and land every step of the way with uncompromising dedication to quality and freshness.
Roberta, I have to tell you, Finn is such a picky eater, but the one thing he will eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner is avocado toast. But it's my one gourmet moment as a parent is the fact that he likes avocados.
Finn and I have that in common.
So be sure to look for California on the label to ensure you are getting avocados grown close to home. From family meals to grabbing a snack on the go, incorporate California avocados into your dishes for dynamic flavors and texture. So rewatching the wedding, I will say that I also felt like some of the photos just don't do it justice because it is stunning in photos, but watching her move in it, you forget like Diana's stature, she was so tall. That train, the veil, it was
the antique lace too. Like I think the dress
magical.
has kind of, I honestly would never put something like that on my body for my own wedding, but I think that it has grown on me a lot.
It's grown on me so much.
What was your wedding dress like, Rachel, by the way?
Mine was very fitted. It was like
kind of picture it, but
it had like cap sleeves and it was fitted. It was like a Marchesa.
And you got it in New York?
Yeah, I got it in New York.
Marchesa?
It was Marchesa. Yeah, and I really spent. I felt like it was the one thing I wanted to spend money on, and I loved my dress. But it wasn't, it wasn't Princess Poofy. I did try on some of those dresses, but it just didn't feel like me. Like every time I put them on, it just was like I felt swallowed up by the dress. And I feel like that's kind of what can happen.
You looked so timeless, though, in your pictures. I feel like I'm picturing you guys with the clear umbrella.
Oh, yeah, because it poured.
But in Brooklyn Bridge Park, right?
Yeah, wow, Roberta.
So stunning. But wasn't there a little lace, like, at the bodice?
Oh, no, it was all lace. It was definitely lace. Yeah, it was very delicate lace. So, but I loved that. But it wasn't, you just, as you try on wedding dresses, you kind of can see, like, how it's just quality really matters. And I think that's with Diana's dress, like, it was all hand sewn. It was hand beaded. All of that stuff makes such a difference. And the antique
lace with so beautiful. The bow. Yeah, it's just like all the details when you know that it's like what she wanted. I think that's what.
But it was a huge break for her to choose the Emanuels because they were totally undiscovered, and it was her making a bold choice because she steered away from like the Norman Hartnells that were doing the Queen's, previous, that all the traditional people that other royal brides had worked with. Diana went her own way.
Oh, I was gonna say, but there was a dress mishap.
Oh yes, there was.
What
a big
happened
one.
with the perfume?
So she spilled on herself. According to her makeup artist from the day, she spilled. I guess it had to have been just a drop because we know from Matthew's story that she did have a backup skirt for the wedding dress if she stained it significantly. But that's why when she enters, supposedly she had her hand exactly on the spot that was stained. But it was just she tipped her bottle accidentally a little too much, and it made like a dribble.
And it really was so creased when she got out. Like you couldn't even see I like the footage rewatching it recently and just seeing how when she got out, this whole side up the side of the dress is just so wrinkly, and I just my heart breaks because like it actually kind of looks like purposeful in a way because the whole skirt is like that, but I do think that the Emanuels, that was the one thing that it's like, oh, they did not plan for it to be scrunched up like
in
a
that
loofah
little
in
tiny
the
carriage.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I read that it almost looked like she was in a carriage full of like dish bubbles or something. Where it's like, I mean, she was really just
because her dad was squished in there too,
and he was a tall, big.
He's a big guy.
Yeah. So, but we know that Diana invited the entire staff of the nursery school, and that she had worked with leading up to her engagement with Charles, and over 750 million people in 74 countries tuned in to watch. Of course, it wasn't the fairy tale that we thought it would be.
I don't think I was happy. I think I never tried to call it off in the sense of really doing that, but I think the worst day of my life.
That's from Diana in Her Own Words, the documentary.
By Tom Jennings, who was on our podcast,
which is a great episode. If you haven't heard that one, definitely go back and listen to it.
Such a
but it was the worst day of her life. That's what she described it as.
Heartbreaking. I know. Just to think like it is a little weird because it's like we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of a marriage that completely dissolved. You know what I mean? And to celebrate something that really was so painful for these two people.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's hard to, you kind of have to put it in the light of this. We're looking at it as the day of and the celebrations that occurred on July 29th, 1981. But in the greater context of what happened, and obviously hindsight is 2020, we know that it was painful memories for Diana. I think that at the end of her life, like it was something that she regretted so much. And so it's good to think about it with both frames of mind. Because I think, we're cheersing, we're celebrating, it's like an occasion that brought us William and Harry, brought us so much joy at the time. And so I do think, it's good to remember those things. But also Charles was not happy about it either. And we know it wasn't just one-sided. So he later told his biographer Robert Jobson, and Charles at 70 said, "I desperately wanted to get out of the wedding in 1981 when, during the engagement, I discovered just how awful the prospects were, having had no chance whatsoever to get to know Diana beforehand." Ugh. It's like set up to fail.
I was like, we're just going to stop for a minute because I was like, oh, it's just awful to hear. I mean, knowing, it wasn't like an arranged marriage, but it almost was, because it was like the pressure that they were under to make it work. And everyone was like, here's Diana, this like young, perfectly malleable woman for Charles. And I think that that's what's so fascinating, hindsight looking back, that she was anything but. Like, even with the wedding, she omitted the word obey, for example. She did little things that were just, she made it, she knew, she had an internal confidence that they weren't able to plan for, but go Diana.
Yeah, she was always true to herself and so brave. And I think, but then we know, it was a lot of the things, she was swept up in the tide, like you said. I just think that she was 12 years younger. She's just like nervous and excited and doesn't know what to expect. Supposedly, though, Prince Charles cried the night before because he was that conflicted over his love for Camilla. And Camilla was there, and a ton of his exes, which I didn't know, and I
feel like that happens all the time, right? At Harry and Meghan's, wasn't Chelsea Davy at his wedding?
Yeah, I think you're right. But I don't think Trevor Engelson was at their wedding.
No.
He? Did you have any exes at your Matt's
No,
wedding?
I think it's like a British society thing.
Bowie, don't
You know
lie.
what I mean? Oh my gosh, absolutely not. It would
Were
be
any
so
of Matt's
weird.
exes
No. I'm trying to think. No. Like, wait, let me think for a second. No.
Okay, so then that's weird. Like, that's
it's weird. I think it's a British society thing. Okay, but
I don't think I'd have any.
Favorite moments. I want to hear like what jumped out to you. Rewatching.
Okay, so I love that Diana, you mentioned this really quickly, but I love that Diana omitted the word obey from the wedding vows. She was the first royal to do that. And I believe when we talked about Fergie's wedding last week, that Fergie said the word obey. I think that she went back 5 years later to the tradition of saying it. So just interesting contrast there.
It's just amazing. Like, think about it. She was 20 and she had that thought to omit the word obey. Like, I think if I was 20, I would just be like going through the motions.
Totally. In a lot of ways she did. But I think for that, she was pretty firm, which is interesting.
And she was like insightful on that.
Maybe like a foreshadowing of what's to come. I also love that they started the balcony kiss tradition.
Yes.
And that's out of a mistake. It was born out of a mistake, right? I think they forgot to kiss during the wedding.
During the,
so
yes. You're right. And I love that just kind of hearing people talk about it, that was, everyone's like, yes, this is the modern monarchy. And then you think about the contrast, how we look at Kate and William as the modern monarchy. Like, it's like what, you keep moving the needle a little bit forward.
Well, they kissed twice. So they really did one up.
Yeah, one
their
up. Exact
parents.
Comparison. Yeah. I think for me, I just really liked the arrivals. I think that's always fun. Like it's rewatching their wedding. It's so short. It's like 20 minutes. But Margaret Thatcher and Nancy Reagan, I think just on the heels of watching The Crown and getting to know her via Gillian Anderson, but then John Travolta's revelations about that Nancy Reagan dinner at the White House. I thought it was...
What was the John Travolta revelation?
Well, just about the whole story of Dancing with Diana, but we knew that Nancy Reagan hosted that party. And then just seeing people in the crowd fanning themselves, like, it is July. I mean, it's not a tropical destination or anything, but it was likely hot. I don't know if St. Paul's Cathedral had air conditioning and,
Probably not. One of the things that makes me think of that with the temperature, because I feel like we're having a heat wave this summer, is they actually handed out like sick bags like you get on an airplane to all the choir boys because they were like worried they would faint and get sick and throw up. So like it must have been scorching.
It must have been really hot.
Oh, I just think that makes you think like, oh man, because all those people waiting outside all night too in the streets.
Yeah.
Okay, pair Parachutes ready.
Boy, the things I go through to get auto loan rates as low as 0.99% APR for 60 months on new vehicles with PenFed.
You are aware that you don't have to be a military member to save hundreds on your auto loan, aren't you? Anyone can join PenFed.
As someone terrified of heights, I probably should have looked into that.
Probably.
Drop me off at the shore.
PenFed Credit Union. Visit PenFed.org/autos or call 1-800-247-5626. Advertised rates available through the PenFed car buying service. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA.
But let's talk about this cool new documentary too that everyone should watch.
Yes. Let's get into it. So it's called Wedding of the Century. It's a new documentary premiering the day this episode airs, so July 29th on BritBox, which is, if you don't know, a streaming service from ITV and BBC Studios.
It's really great. Highly recommend.
Really good. We got a screener. We're very lucky. We were sent a special screener ahead of time, so we've already watched the documentary. It's about an hour and a half, so it's a low lift.
It goes like
commitment.
This, though. It does.
And the last 25 minutes are the wedding. So you can actually sign up for BritBox with a free 7-day trial, and then it's $7 per month after. So here's why you should watch. The footage that we talked about at the end, the 20 minutes of the wedding, is restored in 4K, and it is incredible. Like, it just is like how you've never watched it before. It looks like it was filmed yesterday. The colors are vibrant. There's no... It just feels so modern, and that was really exciting.
It's so
what did you
crisp.
think about that?
Like, it was, they do a little swipe away where you can see, like, this is what it was before, and then this is what we did to it after. And I was just like, it's amazing.
Blown away.
It's worth it.
It also features, which is really interesting, some new anecdotes from some new people who haven't really talked about the wedding for any documentary or anything before. So royal florist David Longman, who met with Diana to make her bouquet, is featured prominently. There's also Royal Navy head baker Dave Avery. He did the wedding cake. There's royal photographer Kent Gavin, who captured the ceremony from inside St. Paul's, which is a big deal since a lot of the photographers were forced to stay outside for the ceremony. And he also was asked later by Diana to capture Prince William's christening. So it's really, she obviously took, a shine to him. There's lots of footage of Elizabeth and Philip's royal wedding as kind of compare and contrast, and also Margaret's wedding.
I loved that detail of the
I
stock.
haven't seen that much footage of their royal weddings before, so that was really cool just to see, all in one sitting, all three of these major royal
I think that
events.
might have been my favorite part, was how they did a really great job of giving you all in one place the chance to compare and contrast the different weddings.
Totally. There's just such a dearth of knowledge in this. I think, these insidery details that we all love. There was Charles's exes, like we mentioned at the wedding. Charles was the one who requested that the Mountbatten rose be included in the bouquet as a tribute to his Uncle Dickie. We know they were super, super close. Also, they do a good job of placing the wedding in the context of what was going on.
I thought this was really interesting.
Yeah, there was I didn't know this at the time, because 1981 is known as, the royal wedding of Diana and Charles, but there was a lot of riots going on. There was upheaval. There was rebellion against Thatcher's Britain, which we do see in The Crown a little bit. But for one inspiring, wonderful day, a whole nation came together and forgot its troubles and united in celebration. And so I think that's what makes it kind of lovely. And I wonder, what do you think about if there's anything?
I think it just really speaks to the power of the monarchy, because when I was thinking about it after watching the documentary, is there anything in the United States that compares to that? I mean, we don't get to see publicized celebrity weddings. Like, I was like, oh man, if I had been able to watch Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston's wedding way back when, I probably would have been very captivated, but not on the level of Diana. But I just loved that relationship.
What's funny is, the past couple episodes, you talked about George Clooney, Tom Cruise, and Brad Pitt.
I feel like it really shows my age. My God.
No, it's so funny that you're just, I love it.
I was like, those are my hunks and heartthrobs when I was growing up.
There really isn't, though. I mean, I think right now, because of how prevalent it is in the news, is the Olympics, which the country, kind of comes together to celebrate our athletes, regardless of, it's marred by a lot of things happening right now, like COVID, but I don't know.
Yeah, we just don't have public weddings. It probably would have been like the Kennedys, you know what I mean? A wedding like that, things like that. But it is pretty remarkable. But even something could put aside all the strife and all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah, because even an inauguration where a lot of people come together, it's for one party.
It's very polarizing.
Yeah. So Interesting. All right. Well, let's get into the impact on today's royals. And we wanted to first point out, one of the things I wanted to discuss with you, Rachel, is looking back, Diana was so young. We know she was just turned 20. Charles was 32. I think they met when she was 16 and he was 29. So, a young couple. He even says, like, we didn't know each other that well. Do you think that this had any significant impact in the way William approached Meghan and Harry's relationship? Because we know, he was kind of quick to warn Harry, like, listen, slow down. Like, you don't have to rush into this. What do you think?
I mean, I'm curious if it did. We definitely don't know, but I think that it is, you see what happened with Diana and Charles, like having only 13 dates before getting married. And a lot of them had supervision and family members around. It wasn't on their own. And, I think a distinction is that, as I said before, I feel like Diana and Charles' wedding was a little bit prearranged in the sense that there was a lot of pressure for them to get married. Meghan and Harry, that was completely the opposite. They found each other and fell in love. But I think a longer courtship is pretty critical marrying into the royal family because you need to know what you're signing up for. I mean, look at how many people that Charles dated for a brief period of time and they all were like, nope, no freaking way.
That's so
I'm not signing up for this. And I think Meghan's revelation in the Oprah interview about, you guys do all these formalities at home when you're not in public. And that was news to her. Like, clearly there's a lot to figure out. And so I'm curious if for William, I don't know if that would have stemmed from his parents' courtship, but like it could have. Long-winded answer. What do you think?
No, I think too, like with William, you have to remember that like he went to university with Kate and they dated for 10 years. And, it was such a different romance. It was a different trajectory and it's because they are on different paths. William is going to be king one day. Harry is never going to be king. You know? So it just is, it could have been that he was looking at his parents and thinking like, look, they dated for less than a year. They got married. Things did not work out. Spectacularly did not work out. But it's just an interesting thought. I don't know. I would be curious to see what other Rovers think, but it's a good thought provoker. Yeah. What about Kate and the Cambridges and all the tributes to Diana? Because there were a lot of tributes in their wedding. First of all, obviously the biggest one, Kate wears Diana's engagement ring. Also, her something old. Kate's something old was a blue ribbon sewn into her wedding gown, the one by Alexander McQueen, and it could have even been the same one that Diana had sewn into her wedding gown.
We don't know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's definitely been, that has been rumored for sure.
Yeah. There's lots of other tributes too. I feel like William, there's, all these moments of him greeting Diana's side of the family when he walks into Westminster Abbey. Elton John was on the guest list who performed at Diana's funeral. Is that right? Yeah. And then we also have the impact on fashion. I mean, we talked about Diana's dress at length, but I feel like we need to say that like this was such a big turning point for royal fashion. Diana like really owned her own style. It was a departure from the Queen, who I think, is wonderful in the sense that we come to expect, we know what to expect from the Queen. We know that she's going to wear bright colors. It feels very comforting to see her in the same kind of similar outfit formula each time. But Diana is a surprise, and her wedding dress was a surprise. And so I think it's really, it was a exciting, flashpoint in royal fashion to see that and to see her kind of take center stage.
The fairy tale princess. Yeah. I mean, she really embodied that on this day. I also just thought, like in the documentary in particular, there's amazing footage of all the street celebrations and just kind of, people. I loved the shots. There's shots of people trying to sleep. Like I was like, you're going to sleep out in the street in the middle of a party and you look kind of annoyed when the cameras are on you and stuff like that. But it really shows towns having parties with all the neighbors getting together in communities in the UK. I think I'm just so interested for next year to just see how the Platinum Jubilee will compare, because
same. It's such a exciting time. And like the people sleeping, and by contrast, there's also footage of people dancing out front outside of the pub.
So drunk.
just so drunk and like so like I don't know. It's just like the energy from that, I think is.
It must have been
so
exhilarating for Diana and Charles to go down the streets and just have that sort of community love.
I wonder if any Roros were at.
Yes, that's such a good
wedding.
question.
Who knows?
Please
I feel like
send
if
us
you
an email.
Please let us know. Yeah, that would be amazing. All right, before we adjourn the Royal Pod, here are our royal wedding highs and lows.
It's time for the royal highs and lows.
My low is Diana's revelation years later that it was the worst day of her life. I feel like that's just, it makes you really think like, you know, should we be celebrating this? I don't know. That's a huge bombshell too, and something that was included in those interviews she did for the Andrew Morton book. And I just wonder if Harry's memoir will say anything nearly as explosive as that, if there's going to be kind of these major revelations or not.
Yeah.
You know, I really want to know his side of the story, but I do think it could. I mean, but that's the thing is like back then, the press really thought that Diana's biography would destroy the monarchy and, you know, so I don't know.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm so curious what he's going to cover. My low is just, again, the age gap between Diana and Charles. In the documentary, they talk about one of the experts in the documentary talks about how unique and bizarre it actually was that no publication in the UK mentioned the age gap. I mean, it's not, I guess by modern standards, it's like, it's not that significant, but I think it is significant, and because of how young Diana was and what she was entering into. So I think just knowing that everyone kind of brushed over that in favor of the fairy tale is definitely a low for me.
Totally. Also, we have to mention Lady
Speaking of
Kate
age,
Spencer.
speaking of age gaps.
What's going on there? Because she's about to get married, supposedly, and he is older than her dad, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's totally nothing wrong, but it is, I think, in the context of you're in this position, and Diana, what's weird is like she was so young, but she also had not gone on that many dates with him. That's what's crazy. It's like if she had gone on, if they've been dating for 2 or 3 years, like she's prepared for this role, she's ready, even though she is 20. Okay, but it was the combination of those two things, I think, that really
It was a perfect storm.
Set her up for disaster. Yeah. My high though is, I just think there's so many big milestones this year, and I feel so lucky to celebrate them with Rachel on the podcast. This is a sappy one. And although some of them are sad, like I think, Diana would have been 60. There was 40 years since the wedding. The statue, they have a little tinge of sadness to them, but I feel so lucky to be here with you, Rachel.
I know, it's honestly such a privilege to have this forum. I mean, not to go on a tangent, but it really is so exciting that I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to connect with Roberta, and we get to like really passionately talk about
Chat
the
about
Royals.
all this
Yeah,
stuff.
it's been a roller coaster of a royal year.
We actually really have to squeeze ourselves into like a time constraint. Otherwise, we will be talking for 2 hours, and I feel like our producer is like, you guys need
I'm gonna wrap this up
Move
right
it
now.
along.
Yes,
Yeah.
my high real quick is the reveal in the documentary that Diana forgot her bouquet when exiting the royal wedding carriage to walk into St. Paul's Cathedral. I thought that was just kind of another detail that shows someone brought it to her very quickly and expediently, but I feel like I love it. Just shows the nerves and everything that's going on, because you like thank God you have on your wedding day a lot of times like a coordinator or somebody. Obviously at the royal wedding you have a lot more people paying attention to you, but I think it just does, there's all these things you just don't remember. So
Well, it was fascinating too. Like the florist in Wedding of the Century documentary says, he was like, I was furious when I saw the TV news coverage live of her getting out and no bouquet. And we, obviously they worked months and months on this bouquet. And then he said, finally someone ran up, but for a hot second, he was about to lose his shit.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Is there anything, just like, I keep asking you about your wedding because I don't have experience in this realm, but like, was there anything that you were like, forgot, that kind of moment that was like, oh, and then now looking back, you're like, doesn't matter at all?
There was a bouquet moment actually when I walked down the aisle at the end. My sister, because you get to the front and you hand your bouquet to your maid of honor. My sister didn't give it back to me, not her fault, but I didn't have it in my exit pictures, and because it was peonies and bright coral peonies, I was like, man, I really wish those were in the photos. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. But I did think it was interesting how different Diana's bouquet was to Fergie's, which we also talked about last week. Fergie had that sort of S shape, and I kind of said maybe it was just the style in 80s because we're used to these overgrown bouquets. But Diana's bouquet was actually very wild looking and overgrown and long and over the top. So
yeah, it feels very modern.
different.
Like you could definitely carry that now, I think, and it would look pretty normal.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just a reminder before we close, leave us a royal rating. Here is a review titled Almost Perfect. I found myself really enjoying the podcast lately. Rachel and Roberta have really found a good groove. As a POC listener, I really appreciate them bringing up more conversations about race into the mix. That being said, can we please have more Black POC guests on the pod? I think it would add more depth, especially when talking about the complexities of the royal family and their history with race, racism, in something like William's statement. There's so many great commenters in the Facebook group. If you don't have any on deck, Duchess MM Grace on Instagram is a great Black run royal account. I feel like those are so rare, is what this person said. Such a good call. Totally hear you. We have her on our radar, and we're super excited for the slate of guests we have coming up this fall. And as a reminder, please follow us on Instagram. So many fun things. Fashion brackets, Diana revenge dress breakdown, so many cool things on Instagram. Also send us an email. Were you at the royal wedding? Did you watch the royal wedding on TV? Let us know. info@gallerypodcasts.com. And you can follow us personally. I'm at Robbie Frito on Instagram.
And I'm at RKBNYC.
Until next week, God save the pod.
Her Majesties of Royally Obsessed have retired for this episode. God save the pod. And if you fancy the podcast, give Royally Obsessed the royal rating of 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Royally Obsessed Podcast and join our Facebook group, Royally Obsessed. Royally Obsessed is a Gallery Podcast production.